Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
Well, you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
It's Friday. Welcome to the show, everybody. Around the nation, Jeff Waldorf here. We got a good show today. We've got a lot of stuff to go through. And yes, of course, I'm always late. ADHD, everybody. Welcome to it. All right, so look, please like and share all the wonderful stuff that you do. Really, really appreciate it. And all that, all that great stuff that actually helps the show continue, sharing, liking, subscribing, doing all the stuff, all the things. I know I'm very, very descriptive today. But anyway, we've got a lot of good stuff to go through. So I'm just going to hurry up and get to it. Let's do it. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani was reportedly behind the effort to organize fake electors to send to Washington, D.C. to, of course, certify the election for Donald Trump, even though we know that he didn't win. And so this was part of Donald Trump's 2020 election theft attempt. And so, look, we know that a number of state-level Republicans across states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and others have sent in fake electoral certificates to the National Archives. They literally have it, and they're like, hey, these aren't real. Why did you send them? Like, who sent them? In fact, in Michigan, that certification was rejected because it didn't even have the official state seal, whereas in another state, they literally had to tell the group that sent it in, stop using our seal. Just please stop it. You're doing actual fraud. All right, so now, that said, those same groups, by the way, had begun organizing groups of so-called alternate electors. Alt electors. Interesting. Now, these alt electors would challenge the results of the election in their respective states, using, of course, a lie about voter fraud and all that. And now we know, thanks to the House Select Committee and their investigation into January 6th, that members of Trump's inner circle were behind that, including Rudy Giuliani. Because, of course, sources tell CNN that Trump campaign officials, led by Rudy Giuliani, oversaw efforts in December 2020 to put forward illegitimate electors from 7 different states that Trump had lost, and that this was a core tenet of the broader plot to try to overturn Biden's victory when Congress counted electoral votes on January 6th. So now, look, I've detailed this plot. Part of it, you had Steve Bannon and, basically talking about the Green Bay sweep. And that's where Pence was supposed to reject the certification based on the big lie about voter fraud and the existence of like drop boxes and then, oh, ballot harvesting. Oh, it's so ballot harvesting is such a terrible thing. Is it though? You just give somebody else permission to pick up your ballots. That's really it. And of course, all that other stuff made voting easier during the pandemic. But Republicans are like, no, that's fraud because you changed your rules during a pandemic. Interesting. And so how dare you make voting easier? How dare you do that? You're supposed to make it harder because when it's harder, we win. Stop making it too easy. I guess we're just going to have to try to steal it now. And that's what they're doing. Now, lucky for us, it didn't work this time. Likely because of how dumb these people actually are. How dumb and disorganized. Nonetheless, there's still a danger. But let me just give you an example of how stupid they are. One fake elector from Michigan boasted at a recent event hosted by a local Republican organization that the Trump campaign directed the entire operation. Here she is. This is Michonne Maddock.
We fought for investigations into every part of the election we could. He fought for a team of people to come and testify in front of the committee. We fought to see the electors. The Trump campaign asked us to do that. I'm under a lot of scrutiny for that today. And my husband has, he's suffered for that a little bit in Lansing because it's not very popular. But, you know, when you represent the whole state of Michigan, that's what I see it now.
That was a public event organized by the conservative group Stand Up Michigan. Well, now we know, of course, not only are they broadcasting it in public, hey, we made fake electors that were literally trying to fraud our way into reinstating Donald Trump, even after he had legitimately lost an election. They're just out there telling you, we did it. Yeah, of course we did it. Well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Well, that is a good question. What are we going to do about it? Right now, the Democrats are like, I don't know. I guess we're just going to investigate. And maybe we're going to write some strongly worded letters. Wow. But anyway, look, that said, the details here is that Giuliani and most certainly Donald Trump told them to do it. This, along with numerous amounts of evidence that they have that Trump had helped organize the insurrection on January 6th, and of course got his lackeys to try to pull off a soft coup, if you will, without actual violence, and then of course egged on the violence on January 6th. That should be enough, you would think, to get people in some trouble. Now, whether or not that actually happens, well, that's a different question, because we do live in America where the right wing ensures that the people at the top never face any sort of consequences for their actions, illegal or not. So they knew. Yeah, it says Tyler Hackner. Yeah, absolutely. Of course they knew. They pushed it. They did it. All right. Representative Madison Cawthorn is a bit of a child. And I say that because during a pretty important virtual meeting with the House Veterans Affairs Committee on how toxic chemicals are killing or injuring U.S. soldiers, Representative Madison Cawthorn decided to take this as an opportunity to clean his gun. Here's an image from that. That's Madison Cawthorn, just kind of, during this Zoom meeting, which unfortunately we don't actually have the video for, But there was somebody in the meeting who took the screenshot. Well, look at that. Cleaning his gun. Now, the description by people who were in that meeting is that Cawthorn had worked on his pistol out of sight for several minutes. Two people told the Daily Beast, but it became plainly visible during the testimony of Jen Birch, a veteran who spent 6 years in the Air Force serving in Japan and Afghanistan, that he was, again, cleaning his gun. Child. Baby. That's a representative. Now, John Field, a 9/11 first responder, who was also at the virtual meeting, told the Daily Beast this following the meeting, quote, "It was immature. He's a child. He lacks common sense. I think the congressman was overcompensating for something that he lacks and feeling inadequate among the heroes on that call." Damn. Damn. Open-handed slap, boy. That's what that is. Field was one of at least two people at the Veterans Affairs meeting who noticed what Cawthorn was doing instead of actually listening. So now another person, Rosie Lopez Torres, the co-founder of Burn Pits 360, she told the Daily Beast that she did not notice that Cawthorn was working on his gun. She only recalled that he seemed distracted at times, but then when she had seen the picture of what he was actually doing, she was livid. Oh, wow. That is insane. Total disregard and disrespect to America's war fighters. He was so bored with the topic. Those that are sick and dying and the widows in his district should see how much he cares about the issue. Yeah, man, what about support the troops? Well, Republicans, I thought you're supposed to be out there. You're supposed to be the ones who are, support the troops, support the troops. Well, the troops are literally getting sick from these burn pits. As noted by these veteran advocacy groups who were in the meeting, quote, uniformed military personnel have been exposed to dangerous toxins when ordered to stand by burn pits, a method of burning trash at military sites in Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere. That duty usually fell to obviously the low-ranking soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, some of whom, after repeated exposure to this, developed heart, lung, and digestive issues. And so some of the stuff in the burn pits is burning plastics, rubber, and paper envelopes from the people back home, among other things. So that's a real issue. That is a real issue facing our soldiers. Another issue, of course, that Republicans like to ignore is the PFAS in the water. That also is causing health problems, health issues. And yet here's Madison Cawthorn just cleaning his gun. He's cleaning his gun. It's complete and utter disrespect towards the people that he claims to support. But see, Madison Cawthorn doesn't actually support the troops. You know who Madison Cawthorn supports? Military contractors who give him campaign donations, legal bribes. That's what they do. And in return, of course, Madison Cawthorn delivers enormous military budgets that don't go to the troops, don't go to regular people. No, they don't go to the people in the front lines. They don't go to good equipment for them. No, it goes to defense contractors. It goes to the billionaires that are lining their pockets with taxpayer money. That's what they're doing. Now, if you're not already furious about this, well, here's the response from Cawthorn's office and whether or not he believed that this was appropriate. His communications director, Luke Ball, look, I could fill this story just full of like jerking off puns. I'm not doing that because this is a serious issue, but I'm just saying, cleaning this gun, Luke Ball, come on. I'm really holding back on that one, okay? Very serious issue. Now, here's what Ball responded with. Quote, what could possibly be more patriotic than guns and veterans? He said as he fired 2 pistols into the air while hooting and hollering like Yosemite Sam. I'm kidding on that. That didn't actually happen. But you never know with Republicans. Seriously, though, these people are wild. Just huge amounts of disrespect towards the people that they're purporting to represent. They don't represent the people. They don't represent troops. They don't care about troops. No, they care about defense contractors and they care about their goddamn bribes. That's what they do. I mean, again, what asshole shows up to a meeting about veterans and then just stops paying attention? It's bored. I'm bored. This is boring. Oh, man, I can't believe we have to sit here and listen about, soldiers getting sick. Oh, my God. Why don't I just clean my gun while I'm sitting here waiting? And then he talks about how much of a patriot he is. Oh, I love the troops. I love America. No, give me a break. The guy's a liar. He's a troll. He's a wannabe insurrectionist, by the way. The guy even lied about joining the Naval Academy. He never joined the military. Oh, but he got into a car crash right before he was about to join the Naval Academy. No, turns out he was rejected. He was rejected by the Naval Academy before that happened. And then, by the way, in his own little story, he lied about the person. Oh, I was left for dead in a car crash. No, he lied. The guy that he said left him for dead actually was the one who rescued him, pulled him from the wreckage. The guy's a disgusting liar, an unbelievable fraud. Unbelievable fraud. Now, one more quote here from somebody who was in the meeting. So now, Lindsay Church, who's a co-founder of Minority Veterans of America, told the Daily Beast that Cawthorn's behavior was, quote unquote, misguided and lacking the dignity of his office. Well, that sounds like most of the Republican Party at this point, at least the Q-nuts. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. She added, he was doing this while the ranking member of his own party was conducting actual business. I'd be mad if I was Representative Michael Bost. Now, Michael Bost is the top Republican on that committee. You know what he said about this? Nothing. Quiet. You're going to ask me about Madison Cawthorn being a complete disrespectful ass during an incredibly important meeting about the health and safety of our veterans? I'm just not going to say anything. Okay. And let me just point out, too, that there's a pretty long history of Madison Cawthorn being a little, irresponsible with his gun. In fact, back in February of 2021, he had actually tried to board a plane in his home state of North Carolina while still having his gun in his bag. So now, if you and I, look, when we go to the airport, we gotta take our shoes off. We gotta get patted down, go through the metal detector. We gotta do all that stuff, right? And if we get caught, if one of us has a gun, God forbid, right? Or even just like something sharp, even. Like, you're not getting on that plane. There ain't no way you're getting on that plane. Madison Cawthorn, well, when that happens to Madison Cawthorn, he brings a literal gun. They're just like, mistake. Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry about that, Mr. Cawthorn. We didn't mean to, get in the way of you. We're just gonna let that one go. Go ahead and go through. It's fine. He was let right through. No problem. No problem. But again, if you and I did that, no, we wouldn't make it on that plane. Not at all. Rules for thee, or not for me. You know why? Because I'm the real patriot, even though I ignore soldiers and veterans and what they actually go through when it comes to their health. Now, the real patriots here, they're the people who are actually standing up for the rights and care of the veterans who have been used by the military-industrial complex and are suffering as a result. And that does not include Madison Cawthorn. Okay. Go to Josh Hawley. Another patriot. Jeez. All right. In what is an example of complete irony and projection, Senator Josh Hawley claimed that, no, it's the Democrats who are now refusing to accept the election results if they lose. Take a look.
Well, what I heard was what Joe Biden said loud and clear, which is he's already making excuses for why he's going to lose in November. And Pete, that's what this is all about. Democrats don't accept elections that they don't win. I mean, it happened in 2000, it happened in 2004, it happened in 2016. Now it's going to be 2022. I mean, if Joe Biden thought that his party was going to win these elections, then all would be fine. But he thinks, and because the polls suggest he's going to lose them, his party's going to lose them, the House and the Senate, and therefore they're illegitimate. I mean, it's dangerous, it's wrong, it's ridiculous, and everybody knows it's ridiculous, and yet there he is out there saying it.
All right. I cannot believe the Democrats might not accept the election results, says one of the guys who didn't accept the election results. Look, I'm going to rip this guy apart, but first I want to show you what Biden actually said. All right. And so here he is. He made that speech during his first press conference of 2022. And here's what it said when he was asked by a reporter, hey, what happens if you don't pass your voting rights bill, which of course didn't pass. Here's what he said. Well, it all depends on whether or not we're able to make the case to the American people that some of this is being set up to try to alter the outcome of the election. Oh, no. Oh, no. He continues. He says, and it's one thing. Look, maybe I'm just being too much of an optimist. Remember how we thought that not many people were going to show up to vote in the middle of a pandemic? We had the highest voter turnout in the history of the United States of America. Well, I think that if, in fact, no matter how hard they make it for minorities to vote, I think you're going to see them willing to stand in line and defy the attempt to keep them from being able to vote. I think you're going to see the people who they're trying to keep from being able to show up, showing up and making the sacrifice that needs to make in order to change the law back to what it should be. But it's going to be difficult. I make no bones about that. It's going to be difficult, but we're not there yet. We've not run out of options yet, and we'll see how this moves. So, look, Joe Biden is not the greatest speaker. I think we already know that. But generally what he says there is in his own kind of bumbly old man way. Yes, he made a good point about voter suppression. The whole point of voter suppression is to keep minorities from voting in large enough numbers to overcome the dwindling Republican vote. And so voter suppression, again, is just putting stumbling blocks in the way and to make it more annoying, more difficult to access the polls or to have their vote even count. All right? So now, that's despite the efforts, right, of Republicans. You have people in the black community that turn out. Thanks to the tireless efforts of activists in those communities that actually did turn out. And so now in response, of course, to the 2020 election, 19 states with Republican majorities have enacted 33 laws that were restricting the right to vote. In fact, according to the Brennan Center for Justice, those 33 laws enacted in 2021 alone will have various impacts on voting, including two, but not limited to making mail voting and early voting more difficult, imposing harsher voter ID requirements, and making faulty voter purges more likely. And then, of course, you add in the failure of the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom of Vote Act, thanks, of course, to Sinema. And, well, that's going to make it so that, again, it makes it more difficult for people in these minority communities to get to vote. Now, they're still, again, going to be able to vote, but there's going to be longer lines. There's already lines in some places of 6 hours long. What, now you're going to make them 8 hours long? You're going to make them 10 hours long? You're going to make it more difficult? More forms of ID? I mean, that's what they're doing. And of course, the Republicans know what they're doing. They know they can't just explicitly take away the right to vote from people. So they put all these roadblocks in the way. But then they pretend like, oh, no. What are you talking about? More people showed up during the 2020 election. There's no voter suppression. No, they turned out despite all that stuff. They turned out because they're dedicated. They turned out because they know exactly what you're trying to do. Trying to deprive them of their rights to be a part of the democratic process. And so now let's get back to Hawley. Now, Hawley wants to sit there and compare that, what Biden had said, to what his party tried to do during January 6th. Again, Hawley was one of the Republicans who objected to the certification of Joe Biden, using, of course, the fake, the voter fraud. We got so much fraud, and we got questions. There's so many questions about the election. What's going on here? Now, again, these are lies put out by Trump and the rest of the party that have been debunked, disproven, numerous recounts and audits, even audits by pro-Trump people, by pro-Trump groups that are like, it turns out that the counts are pretty accurate. I mean, in some cases, Joe Biden actually got more votes than the official count. And in other cases, Donald Trump might have gotten a couple more votes, a couple hundred here and there, but not enough to alter the results of the election. And so, nonetheless, you got Donald Trump, you got the Republican Party, you got Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, these different right-wing channels and propaganda outlets that are basically saying, no, the election was stolen. We don't have any evidence for it, even though we've got the evidence. We're not going to show you the evidence. That's funny. So if you have the evidence and you're not going to show it, though, well, then you don't actually have the evidence. They've had numerous chances. What over 40 court cases? Even in front of pro-Trump, or at least Trump-appointed judges. And the judges are like, okay, you say you have these allegations. Let's see some evidence that backs that up. Well, we don't actually have it. Okay, well then get the hell out of my courtroom. What are you doing here? This is a waste of time. Complete waste of time. And look, let me point out as well, we all know that Trump had said during his 2016 and 2020 campaigns that if he had lost, well, it's not because I lost, it's because the Democrats stole the election. The guy is a complete and utter liar. There is no comparison here. That said, have Democrats complained when they lost? Well, obviously, everybody complains when they lose. I mean, look, Hillary Clinton is the best example of that. When she lost the 2016 election, Russia, Bernie Sanders, the dog ate my homework, but she never said the Republicans orchestrated a conspiracy to steal the election from me. No, not only that, but she conceded right after, immediately. And more importantly, most importantly, she did not try to ever do an insurrection. The simple fact, though, is that Republicans, look, they don't want to talk about voter rights. Why? Because they believe that certain people should not be allowed to vote. They shouldn't be allowed to have those rights. Again, you can go back to the, godfather of the modern conservative movement, Paul Weyrich, when he says, hey, we don't want more people to vote. We want less people to vote, because when less people vote, we win. Simple as that. And they're still running that playbook to this day. So, look, what Biden said, a little sloppy, of course. But also, when you look at the way mainstream media is covering it, and especially when you look at the way that Fox News and conservatives are covering it, look, if you're actually out there saying that, oh no, Joe Biden is being exactly like Donald Trump, and he's questioning the results of the election, well, that's a complete lie. That's absolutely dishonest. And I say that because I am seeing corporate media do this. Maybe they missed Donald Trump in the massive headlines. Hey, look, you got to admit, Donald Trump, very entertaining person, especially to cover. Absolutely. But they're not the same. What do you need to get some controversy to get you through the day, CNN? Fox News? No, this is irresponsible. It's gross. It's not real journalism. And it only helps people like Josh Hawley, who absolutely refused to accept the results of the 2020 election and will continue to do everything that they can to undermine democracy. So, all right. I sure hope Mitch's statement kicks him and all the GQP in the ass in 2022 and 2024. This is Liz Gallo. I don't think it will, though. I mean, what I see in the midterms, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's not going to go well, especially now. And I'll explain this in a later story when I talk about Kirsten Sinema and how she celebrated with Republicans over killing voting rights. This is going to lead to electoral losses in the midterms, 2022, and maybe even 2024. It's a disaster. That's what I see. And I hope I'm wrong. Good Lord, I hope I'm wrong. All right, so let's move on. Let's do some cancel culture. Oh, this is always fun. Got a cancel culture story for you. All right. Furious anti-vaxxers are now lashing out at Carhartt for keeping the vaccine mandate for their employees. So now the CEO of the Michigan-based country known for making some rather warm winter apparel, Mark Valad, told Carhartt staff that the company's own vaccine mandate would stay in place, even after the Supreme Court blocked the Biden administration's vaccine or test mandate. So that was, again, the mandate set out by the Biden administration. Any company, I believe over 500 employees, is either 500 or 100. I'm not quite sure the exact number of employees at this very moment. Either you get vaccinated or you submit to regular testing. Okay, and so that was the mandate for businesses. The Supreme Court said, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to block that. Again, majority conservative Supreme Court doesn't really care about their employees. But even so, afterwards, Carhartt decided to keep it. Okay, great. So now here's what he wrote in an email to his staff. We put workplace safety at the very top of our priority list, and the Supreme Court's recent ruling doesn't impact that core value. We and the medical community continue to believe vaccines are necessary to ensure a safe working environment for every associate and even perhaps their households. An unvaccinated workforce is both a people and business risk that our company is unwilling to take. A Carhartt spokesperson also later told Business Insider that the company was aware that not all staff supported that vaccine mandate, but then added, we stand behind our decision because we believe that vaccines are necessary to protect our workforce, adding that the mandate was part of the company's longstanding commitment to workplace safety. All right, well, that's great. Now, MAGA, however, they're not thrilled with this decision. See, after copies of Valad's email were shared on different social media sites, the news quickly went viral, of course, and some opponents of the vaccine mandates have decided they were going to engage in a little bit of cancel culture. Yes. In fact, here's Ashley St. Clair, a right-wing author and former Turning Point brand ambassador, tweeting out, went from buy Carhartt to buy Carhartt real quick. She also tweeted, hashtag cancel culture or cancel Carhartt, and said that the company's vaccine mandate amounted to quote unquote medical tyranny. Now, these are the same people, by the way, who wanted to drug test you if you wanted welfare benefits. How's that not medical tyranny? If getting a vaccine is medical tyranny, then why isn't forcibly making people do drug tests for benefits? How's that not tyranny? Selective tyranny, that's what that is. Now, there's more. Dana Loesch, or Lash, whatever, she's the former NRA spokesperson and a former Breitbart news writer. Here's what she tweeted. Even though it doesn't prevent transmission as per the CDC, no recognition of natural immunity? This true, Carhartt? So wait, who said that the vaccine prevents transmission? Look, what it does is that it reduces the rates of hospitalization and death from COVID-19. Now, as for natural immunity, there's actually a new study that dropped out a couple of days ago that suggests that for the Delta variant specifically, natural immunity actually ended up being more potent than vaccine-induced immunity. So now that's interesting. Look, science, right? Science, turns out, the conclusions of science, they end up changing after you study something and learn more about it. So that's what's interesting. We do more studies. So now, again, natural immunity, fairly strong. Now, the big problem with natural immunity that is not negated by these studies is, well, the fact that you have to get COVID first to get natural immunity. Now, that's an issue. You've got to get COVID and you've got to survive it first. I don't know if Republicans or anti-vaxxers have this idea that, oh no, you have natural immunity before you get COVID, and so you don't have to get a vaccine. Well, that's not true. You don't actually have the natural immunity until you get COVID. And then that just makes it so that if you get COVID again, which you're, likely to, being an unvaccinated person, but again, you can be vaccinated and get COVID. And so, I mean, do you think that, do you think you're immune without getting the vaccine? I mean, it's ridiculous. No, that's not at all true. That's not at all true. Yes, you can be reinfected with COVID after you've had COVID once. And so the problem with getting COVID the first time without any sort of immunity from the vaccine, for example, is that you end up either, again, you have a higher chance of going to the hospital, you have a higher chance of dying from COVID-19, and you even have a higher chance of having some other issues. For example, long COVID, organ damage, nerve damage, neurological damage. People have lost their sense of taste and smell. And again, let me point out too, that this study was done on the Delta variant. Now with Omicron, we don't know. Omicron now accounts for 99.5% of the cases in the country, which means that we have no idea how natural immunity fares against the Omicron variant. And so that is why, no matter what variant you're dealing with, that's why it's highly recommended to get the vaccine. Whether you've had COVID or not, whether you have natural immunity, get the vaccine anyway. Because people who have had COVID before and have developed natural immunity and they get the vaccine, they're even way more protected according to studies than people who have just gotten the vaccine or people that are unvaccinated. So very, very important, get the vaccine. But there's more. Blaze TV host Elijah Schaffer said that Carhartt was, quote unquote, subjecting their employees to medical abuse. Fun. The Quartering. I don't know if you're familiar with Jeremy over at The Quivering. He tweeted that he had spent thousands of dollars each year on Carhartt clothing. But no more. I'm done purchasing any of their stuff. and giving them thousands in free advertising. Sad. Baby. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. And by the way, here comes the best part. Some of these MAGA people are destroying or defacing their own stuff, their own things, in order to own the libs. So let me bring that up. So here's them destroying their own stuff. Whoops. And then we have this. Remember who supported you, Carhartt? What? Imagine going through and being so mad that you would cut off the logos of all of your gear. And look, Carhartt's not cheap. I'm just saying, not cheap at all. Oh, defacing or destroying your own products that you've already purchased, that you already paid for, to own the libs. Ah, yes, I am feeling so owned right now. Yes, very, very owned. Oh, God. Look, here's the thing. Boycotts are one thing. Boycotts, they can be a valid tool in protesting the actions of a company or protesting working conditions. Okay? Now, that's one thing. Again, BDS. That can be very effective at trying to get a company or even a government to try to change tack, to try to do something different. But see, here's the thing, right? Conservatives have this weird tendency to destroy things that they paid money for. Like, I don't know. I don't think the CEO of Carhartt is going to be all that upset at anti-vaxxers, especially since he already has your money. You've already given him, Jeremy from the quartering, you already gave him thousands of dollars each year. And I'm sorry, but, you know, sure, maybe he might miss your tiny little contribution. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to be all right. The CEO, you're going to be fine. He's already got your money. And by the way, they're shifting to a new audience anyway. One more thing. The left boycotts and protests things like poor working conditions, sexism in the workplace, discrimination, low pay, things like that, right? Or when companies poison the environment, or when they attempt to co-opt a movement to sell their crappy products. Left gets pretty mad over that stuff. But the right boycotts things for stupid reasons. Company too woke. They had gay people in their ad. Must now burn coffee machine. Come on. It's so incredibly stupid, the entire thing. But hey, by all means, go ahead and destroy your own clothes. Whatever. I will not wear pants until the government tyranny. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. That's funny. That's funny shit, y'all. You know it is. Yes. Go. Like, I saw a comment, tweet actually, under the video that I showed you, and they're like, conservatives going to be running around naked before anything because they will have, you know, basically canceled all clothes makers. Yeah, pretty much. After the Goya stuff last year, I stopped buying their stuff, but I finished what I have. Haven't bought any more since. Like I said, you know, boycotts themselves, they can be effective. And of course, they, you know, can send a message. And that's fine. I don't have anything wrong with, I don't think there's anything wrong with boycotts. But just like, if you are destroying the stuff as like a virtue signal, that just seems really ridiculous. And it's something that the right tends to do a lot. Okay. Let's go to Sinema. What if we cancel Trump? Let me tell you one more thing, right? Cancel culture isn't real. I mean, look, if you were wealthy and you were famous and you get canceled, that doesn't mean a damn thing. How many people do you see out there that have been cancel cultured, right? That, you know, are rich and doing well to pretty well for themselves? They're out there getting Netflix specials. The idea that, oh, cancel culture is destroying everything. No, when you get canceled, if you're wealthy, right? If you're a politician or if you're a celebrity, you know, you always just like end up getting a whole bunch of deals. You get to go around and talk about how, oh, cancel culture, cancellation is the worst thing in the world in front of a gigantic audience. It's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. All right. Now let's go to Sinema. On Wednesday, Kyrsten Sinema, along with Joe Manchin, essentially ended the presidency of Joe Biden when they teamed up with Republicans to kill voting rights legislation and voted to keep the legislative filibuster. So now the proposed rule change would have allowed the Democrats to pass their Freedom to Vote John R. Lewis Act with a simple majority. But without the votes, the two votes of Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, the filibuster, again, they couldn't get enough votes. Now, those two also refused to support a carve-out for voting rights. Now, following the vote, there was some outrage from Democrats. Even establishment Democrats were pretty angry because, again, this had something to do with voting rights. And so, you know, you have people out there that generally are pretty Democratic establishment friendly over on MSNBC that are just very, very angry. Like, what's going on? How dare Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin block this? Why don't they just do a carve-out in the filibuster? I don't understand. Now, Joe Biden, for his part, he just said that he was disappointed at Wednesday's vote, but not deterred. Not deterred. Now, there was further outrage after a video of Senator Sinema pretty much celebrating with Republican lawmakers. Take a look. There she is, red dress. Fitting. Very fitting. Shaking hands. Getting a nice little pat on the shoulder from, and by the way, that wasn't a Democrat. That was John Kennedy, Republican. First in line, shake her hand. John Kennedy is one of the Republicans that voted to overturn the election of Joe Biden. Yeah. So, you know, but here you have Sinema openly celebrating with insurrectionist Republicans after killing voting rights. I mean, look, at least Joe Manchin, according to reporters, after the vote, did not linger on the floor. He got the F out of there. But here's Kyrsten Sinema. She is rubbing your face in it. Yeah, so I'm totally corrupt. I'll vote with the Republicans to make sure that you get none of your agenda done. Suckers, you thought I was actually on your side. No. I'm about the money. Give me the money. Give me the money. Give. That's all I care about. Honestly, though, Sinema knows that if she did something to end the filibuster, and Manchin as well, and other Democrats too, then the Democrats would actually be forced to pass something. Like a social spending bill, perhaps, that might actually her corporate donors. And oh yeah, but they can't have that. No, they can't have that at all. You see, the corporate donors and the corporate Democrats, they love the filibuster because without it, they might actually get progressive policy that helps people. Oh no, we can't do that. Now, last year, and this is according to an article in the Daily Poster, a lobbying group known only as the Chamber, the Chamber, published a memo explaining why the filibuster is so important for business, for the business community. Quote, for example, within 2 months, the House of Representatives has passed a $15 national minimum wage and a radical rewrite of U.S. labor law known as the PRO Act. Because of the filibuster, neither can become law as currently written. In a world without the filibuster, both might be the law of the land. That is until a Republican unified government repealed them. Now, wait, I look at this $15 minimum wage and labor, those are great. They look at it, since they're the Chamber, they think, well, that's terrible. Oh, we can't let that happen. Oh, we can't let that happen at all. And for them, again, terrible because guess what? Their bottom line might be impacted just a little bit. Which is why last March, the Chamber issued a warning to lawmakers that its annual scorecard, which the organization uses to determine its political endorsements and or lobbying, or I should say campaign contributions, would penalize any senators who vote to reform the filibuster or even voted to overrule the Senate parliamentarian. That unelected Senate parliamentarian that you can easily overrule. As David Sirota and Andrew Perez point out in this article, the Chamber delivered this threat 1 day before 8 Democratic senators, including Manchin and Sinema, joined with Republicans in voting down an amendment to overrule the parliamentarians' advice and include $15 minimum wage legislation in Democrats' COVID-19 spending bill. Just 1 day. Hey, Manchin and Sinema, you better know your place. You're going to get a bad report on our little scorecard. Now, what was their reward? Well, campaign donations, of course. And get this, and this is the most infuriating part. They got an award for bipartisanship. In addition to giving them 100% and 98% scores respectively, they write, for working across party lines. Which at this point, is anybody, I mean, does anybody actually believe that the bipartisanship is a real thing anymore in this country? I don't think it is. I mean, the only thing that bipartisanship really is, and I'm talking about the old definition, like, oh, the parties working together for the common good. No, that bipartisanship is dead, doesn't exist. Bipartisanship now is serving corporate interests. That's what that means now. Serving corporate interests, by the way, is neither moderate nor what the people elected them to do. And the reason that I bring up moderate is like, oh, no, Joe Manchin, and this is corporate media repeats this lie all the time. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, they're moderates. And the rest of the party is too far to the left. See, you gotta have the moderates, they're in the middle. No, they're not in the middle. They're actually standing, they're in the way. That's what they are, not in the middle. Maybe they're in the middle of actually getting us something done, along with other corporate Democrats. But that's not moderate. That's a corporate position. Look, guys, our system is corrupt. And it's corrupted by the big money, by places like the Chamber. And so in order to fix that, we've got to get money out of politics. Corporate money controlling our elections means corporations controlling our politicians. Just like what we have seen with Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema and many of the others. And it's the major block to actually getting progressive policy. Okay. They're waiting for the opportunity to blame progressives. They already are. They already are. I've seen tweets from, like, I'm with her people, right? Yeah, that crowd. And they're like, oh, see, it's the Republicans would like nothing more than for a progressive Democrat to primary Sinema from the left. What are you talking about? Well, because the Republicans would win then in that case. Really? Have you seen a lot of the races? The local races where you have people, progressives that are winning their primaries. Ridiculousness. All right. Anyway, one more story here, real quick. They're still with her? Yes. Oh, they are. All right. See if I can set this one up. A student at an Ohio elementary school who had claimed that she was forced to eat food from a trash can has had her story confirmed by video. Now, I can't actually show you the video because of local news copyright, but there is a link in the description of this video if you're watching it on YouTube. I'm also going to show you a screenshot here. And so this is from the surveillance footage, and it shows a school monitor, that's basically forcing a girl. And it's, again, really, really difficult to see. I definitely suggest you watch the video itself of a young girl being forced to eat food that she had thrown away after this monitor had taken out of the trash can, wiped it off, and gave it back to her. Wow. So more details, right? This was first released by the Lorain City Schools in response to a public records request as a result of a lawsuit that was filed back in December by the girl's family, claiming that the white lunchroom monitor at Palm Elementary School had pulled a packaged waffle out of the trash can after the student had discarded it and forced her to eat it. Now, the girl was black. Now, the student's mother, Latasha Williams, said her daughter had become physically ill after consuming said waffle. So, I don't know. Look, maybe she threw it away because maybe she thought it was bad, or maybe she just wasn't hungry and didn't want it. I don't know. I don't know what the situation was. But let me just say this. While yes, obviously it's not good to waste food, right? But if you throw something away, you shouldn't go and then force someone to eat that. If somebody throws something away, you shouldn't then dig it out of the trash, wipe it off, and force them to eat it. Packaged or not. Packaged or not. You can't do that. You can't do that at all. I get that schools are massively underfunded, but that's not right. That's not right at all. Look, not only, again, this is packaged, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know how demeaning it is? You know how demeaning it is to have that done to you, to be forced to eat something from the trash, to dig around the trash as a child? That's horrible. In front of your peers. Completely and utterly unacceptable. You should not be forced to eat anything in the trash. Now, that said, right? Now, Latasha Williams then added that as a result of this situation and caring for her daughter, she ended up losing her job because she couldn't go to work. She had to miss work. Here's what she said on December to 19 News. Quote, "It literally flipped my whole family upside down. She has changed at home. She doesn't act the same. She doesn't even want to go to school." But do you blame her? Do you blame her? I mean, that kind of public embarrassment, that kind of public shame, that's devastating mentally for a child. So now there's good news on this. And that's, of course, the fact that the internal investigation that they had done did eventually lead to the firing of both the lunchroom monitor and the principal of that school. So that's good. In fact, Superintendent Jeff Graham said that any infringement upon the dignity and respect of our students will not be tolerated. Our students deserve staff members who are able to make good decisions in all situations. And any staff member who is unable to deliver on that promise is unwelcome in our schools. Now, the lawsuit aims for the school to first admit wrongdoing and then to organize an effort to prevent such incidences in the future. And the suit also seeks an undisclosed amount of monetary damages, to which I think they all deserve. I mean, again, honestly, who thought that this was a good idea? Packaged or not, you can't force someone to eat something from the trash. Unacceptable. It should be unacceptable. But again, yeah, we live in America, where apparently this stuff happens all the time. Okay. That's it. That's all I got for y'all today. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please like and share the stream. If you haven't already. Let me see if I can pull up some super chats here from the show. Let's see. Let's get the ones up for today. Dango Bango says, White House Speaker told Pete, F you, vote for us. Just get out the vote. You expect us to work in the wake of Republicans blocking the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Yeah, you know, that's what frustrates me about the Democrats. They're like, oh, would you look at that? Republicans blocked it again. Voting rights, what are we going to do? I guess you're just going to have to vote harder against all that stuff. You're just going to have to vote harder, guys. Completely negating all of the work to overcome Republican gerrymandering and all the stuff that they have put in the way of people voting. I mean, it's ridiculous. Spin Me on a Sailcloth says they burn jet fuel in those pits. That's even worse. It's even worse. Thank you for pointing that out in the burn pit story. Gabby Mathis says, I missed yesterday's show, so making up today. Enjoy your show and the audience. Get on TYT, please. That's not up to me. You know, TYT does the scheduling, and if they ask me to go and do a panel appearance, I'm more than happy to do so. I had fun the last time. I was kind of nervous though, you know. But yeah, I'd love to go back. Go back and do another power panel. Dango Bangle again, saying Sinema is what we call Joseph Stalin, a political chameleon who hides plus morphs their beliefs to fit the government until power is gained. Dango Bangle also asked, did they get the study from Bolsonaro about the natural immunity? No, it's being reported in all major, all the major different news outlets. I got this from Reuters, and Reuters reported that, again, the study on just the Delta variant shows that, hey, if you've got natural immunity, that's pretty good. But still, they're telling you, and I strongly would heed this: get vaccinated. Doesn't matter. Get vaccinated, because that only helps. And then Gabby Mathis again says, 2 people have the power to rule this country. Disgusting. Oh, did they get the study from studying Bolsonaro? Oh, okay. Okay, I got you now. I don't know, honestly. Yes, get your vaccines. Very important. You trust me. You do not want to get natural immunity the hard way. All right? Not good. Let's see. Let's go over here to Twitch and see if we have anything going on there as well. All right. Twitch. Yep, that's not it. All right, here we go. Let's see. Becca 1359 resub for a month at tier 1. Thank you. Appreciate that. Tempadan 918 resub for a month at tier 1 for 13 months. Thank you. And also thank you, Tempadan, for also gifting a tier 1 sub to the Emo Dragon. Appreciate that. And Flocka Wesos, also thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of that stuff. So thank you so much. That helps. That helps the show. Really, really appreciate it. I still can't consciously separate Bolsonaro from Michael Brooks laughing at him after finding out when Bolsonaro first caught COVID. Oh, that's awesome. I miss Michael Brooks and his laugh. Natural immunity is a farce with Omicron. Yes. So far, yes. That's exactly what we're seeing, too. So, yes, while it might have been effective against Delta, not effective against Omicron from what we've seen so far. And so, again, that's the thing about science, right? You study something, and then you come up with the results. And there it is. All right. So, let me see if we can raid in here. Who are we going to raid into today? Looks like we'll just raid into the serfs. Why not? COVID positive here and got my booster last week. Ideal Paradox, hopefully you recover quickly and hopefully that it's not too serious. Get well soon. Get well soon. Get rid of cloth masks and use N95 or KN95. Yep. COVID sucks. Yeah, absolutely. Again, hopefully you feel better soon. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you again. And we'll see you back here Monday, same time, same place, around the nation. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you.
Mike Pence.
Wet ass P-word.
Please clap.
Tighten up my knees.
Big, massive dumps.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.